Here. Man, what a day so far. Hopefully you guys are doing great. NBA locked up. For a second I thought I heard my own echo there. A lot of baseball tonight as well. We still got a lot of basketball to come. So hopefully we'll be able to double manage generally going forward. The plan is to not have to double header stream and try and get one of the sports taken care of the night before. Last time's a little bit different. But yeah, here we are. So what we're going to do here is we're going to break down all of the baseball games tonight. We do know that a couple of games have been removed from contention, right? Didn't a Cards game get pushed? So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I got 12 games here. Anyway, we're going to go game by game here, come up with some picks, some plays, and of course, put a heavy focus on pitching and research pitchers, hopefully walk away with some of our favorite stacks. We're already getting a couple lineups out, so I'll update those as we go. It's about 1:42, so we got time. We're vibing. We will be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord at about 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys like what you hear and you want to continue the conversation before lock, talk some strategy and whatnot, definitely head over to RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, get signed up, $25, try it out for a week. $25, man. It's less than $5 a day for a week. That's going to cover baseball. That's going to cover basketball. It's going to get you your spreadsheet access every day, your voice chat access every day, and probably most importantly, particularly if you're playing NBA, the 24/7 Discord, where if something crazy happens, and maybe we're going to follow news all day for basketball, we got a whole team in there working and keeping our ear to the ground, and the everyone tag and whatnot. So it's I think now more than ever, having a group like that working with you is super important. So go be part of that, man. What do you got to do? $25, try it out. If you guys got any questions about that, twitter.com/GundackerSports. That's how you can get at me. If you're on Twitter, you want to do me a favor, retweet my last tweet, man. We're trying to get this channel back into the forefront of the algorithm. A lot of inactivity over the course of the last 4 months. So you guys can help me out with those thumbs ups, new subscriptions, turning the notification bell on, and sharing it and interacting with the stream. And that pushes a lot of the channel to the forefront. Anyway, are the Brewers good? I don't know, but I do know that they are one of the teams impacted by the COVID situation today. So if you guys didn't hear, we already know the Marlins saga, the Phillies saga, but the Brewers and the Cardinals have also been impacted by some COVID drama. More so the Cardinals had a couple of positive cases, so that game got postponed. So there's 3 baseball games that a week ago were planned today that are not going to happen. Cardinals, Brewers, Phillies, Blue Jays, and Nats and Marlins. So if you're looking at something with Brewers, don't play the Brewers. Anyway, let's open up that RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. And let's start getting to work on this slate. Let's turn off the elevator music. Game number 1 tonight. The Red Sox at the Yankees. Oh, baby. Ryan Weber taking the open for the Red Sox. He's going to be up against Jordan Montgomery. Gumby coming back. Weber's making his second start of the season after allowing 6 earned runs over 3 2/3 innings in a July 26th loss to the Baltimore Orioles. Weber has made 3 career appearances against the Yankees, all in relief, posting a 2.84 ERA over 6 1/3 innings. Jordan Montgomery is going to be recalled to make his season debut. He was a camp standout this spring and summer, appearing all the way back from Tommy John surgery. Montgomery appeared in 2 big league games, 1 start last year. Montgomery, of course, a couple years ago, looked like somebody to keep an eye on. Yankees looking for another solid lefty for that rotation to back up James Paxton and Lord knows Jay Happ. This game probably going to be one of the more popular games and sought after offenses. The Yankees bludgeoned the Orioles last couple games out there in Baltimore. Yankees game did go late, so if you're worried about a little bit of travel, the Red Sox were in Citi Field, so they actually traveled less length than the Yankees. Yankees coming from Baltimore, and not only that, that game last night had a mid-game rain delay, and they played deep into the night. So Red Sox probably get the rest advantage. Nonetheless, pitching advantage goes to the Yankees. The Yankees are a minus 177 favorite right now, and they have an implied run total of 6.1. We have JD Martinez against a lefty, because why wouldn't we? Jose Peraza likely leads off again. These guys are going to continue to project well in plus spots. It's a plus park, so I don't mind the initial attraction to these guys. JD Martinez has been somebody I feel like I've been playing a lot this weekend and been having a mixed bag of results, right? But on paper, it makes a lot of sense. Kevin Pillar, and how about Christian Vasquez? 2,900 on FanDuel, 48 on DraftKings. Vasquez has 4 homers to his name right now. 2 of them yesterday, and then he's homered 4 times in his last 4 games. So he's showing a little bit of pop. And if you can homer in Citi Field, you can homer in Yankee Stadium. So if he gets the best of Jordan Montgomery here, he might really be shaking some or turning some heads. But a lot of plus matchups on paper for the Red Sox offense. A lot of green in terms of batting average against lefties. And a little bit of power of the perennial mashers like JD Martinez. So on the surface, I do like them. They do have one of the lower implied run totals on the slate. And this is going to be a Coors Field slate. So likely to generate a lot less interest, especially after how on the surface slow the Red Sox stack has been to make people happy. Yankees last night, keep an eye on Gleyber Torres. He, in the first inning, was hit by a pitch, stayed in for a little while, and then was removed from the game even before the rain delay. Also keep an eye on Gary Sanchez. He's had a horrendous start to the season, a lot of terrible at-bats. They have played the last 2 games. Yesterday did have a mid-game rain delay, so he had to go deeper. So maybe, just maybe, a combination of poor at-bats and a later night. Maybe, just maybe, Gary Sanchez gets the night off, and a guy like Kyle Higashioka draws a start. We'll see. Luke Voit hit a grand slam last night. Aaron Judge hit a 3-run shot in the top of the 9th with 1 out, down 1. So they have continued their hot start to the season. Giancarlo Stanton didn't homer last night, but he had like 3 hits. He looked really good at the plate. So plenty of reason to be behind a lot of these Yankees players offensively. DJ LeMahieu, Judge, Stanton, probably my favorites there. And even Aaron Hicks, I can throw him in the mix at 29. The price of the Yankees have gone down considerably. Outside of Giancarlo Stanton, it's just all a sub 5K stack, so it's easily an alternate to Coors Field if we look ahead at that game with the Padres and the Rockies. We've got a lot of 5K-ish price points. 57 for Story, 58 for Blackmon, Arenado 55. I don't think the Rockies would generate a ton of ownership anyway, just because of how poor they've come out the gate. But we've seen, man, this DraftKings algorithm really has been all over the place to start the season, man. It really has. Yeah. All right, let's go back to the live chat before we move on to the next game. What up, Haz? Will it let me zoom in here? All right, let me zoom in a little bit. What up, Haz? What up, Dang Lazy Mofo? Double Decker Breakdown. Yes, sir. Danny. That wasn't me. What? That's not you? What's up, ACP? What up, Dexter? Made a lineup, no research with the White Sox stack with Mike Minor, Louis Castillo, with Yuli Gurriel and Correa, and deciding between LeMahieu or Joey Wendell at second base. Well, I will always vote for LeMahieu, right? Watching basketball on the stream. You gotta love that, right? It's fun to have everything back. And so NBA, guys, I know the all-day thing and the late swap and the headache to keep track of all that is going to be a grind. But for people like us, man, that's going to be an advantage, being able to react positively to news that comes out. And the fact that these games are like one at a time, right? You can see where you're standing after each game to know if you need to get off some of your higher owned players, like that are high owned by the field, to pivot to lower owned guys to kind of save that lineup's chances. I think it's a good thing if you're like me and you do it full time, and or if at least you have a lot of time on your hands throughout the day to pay attention. That's what that Discord is, right? You didn't ask that? You didn't ask if the Brewers are good? Oh. It is weird watching basketball this early. It does remind me of like the Christmas slates, the Martin Luther King slates and stuff like that. But I like it. It's gonna help me change my sleep schedule for sure. What up, Mark? Let's jump into the next game. So, somebody put the lineups in there. Next game's going to be Reds and the Tigers. I think this game's going to produce our highest owned pitcher of the slate, Luis Castillo, going up against Spencer Turnbull. And what stands out to me immediately is on DraftKings, Castillo is only $8,000, and that just seems like a low risk, high reward, no brainer. Likely an SP1 option. He's $10K on FanDuel, and I'm probably going to play him at that price. So I'm not sure what the algorithm is. I think it was supposed to be like a Trevor Bauer start because he was talking about the 4-day rotation, but I really don't think Castillo should have ever been AK anyway, especially considering he just pitched against the Tigers, and he struck out 11 over 6 innings against the Tigers last Saturday, 2 shy of his career high. His 24 swing and miss strikes were 2 shy of his career best as well. His changeup and slider remained his best pitches, but his fastball also touched 99. You love that pitch selection against a usually righty-heavy lineup, although today it looks like they have 4 lefties. Spencer Turnbull has a 1.8 ERA. He has 8 strikeouts. He struck out 7 of his first 15 batters over 5 innings in his debut against the Reds on Sunday. He did not get a decision, extending his winless streak to 19 starts since his last victory on May 31st last year at Atlanta. So he did well enough to maybe not be a bad play against Cincy in that last start. So I can see a lot of people just firing these guys at each other for $16,000, hoping for 30 to 40 fantasy points. He dropped 21.1 in that last start, 87 pitches. So great chance he could push close to 100 pitches today, should he be thriving. And then Castillo threw 91 pitches, so he probably has 100 pitches in his tank today as well, and he has 30-point potential. So both pitchers make a lot of sense. I'm way more on Castillo than I am Turnbull. Castillo, almost a 16% swing and strike rate last season. XFIP and Sierra, both under 4, and you put him on the road here, it's going to be a better park than Great American Ballpark. So Castillo is easily the poster boy of the play of the day pre-flop. Against lefties, he actually had a higher strikeout rate last season. Does give up a little bit more power, 1.21 home run per nine with a league average 38% hard contact rate. So, no reason for me to not start my lineups with Castillo on DraftKings. And even on FanDuel, it's going to be a hard fade at 10-1. Like, I don't know how I wouldn't walk away with some, right? Turnbull, I do think we're a little bit more cognitive of the fact that Turnbull has a high Sierra, high XFIP coming into the season. This lineup for the Reds, Moustakas is back from that little scare, right? I like Shogo Akiyama leading off, pretty cheap on both sites. I'll probably take a shot at that. Batting over 300 to start the season. He's a big import for them. Castellanos coming back to Detroit. Not like there's a crowd there to hype up the revenge narrative, but I like this lineup enough that I don't want to pitch against it. So I probably am going to taper my expectations on Turnbull. Do I stack Reds? Probably not. Reds implied run total just 4.8. The Tigers 3.8. Reds are a minus 163. So again, give me Castillo without blinking, but probably no Turnbull for me. Foamy. See what you guys got in the live chat before we move on. Castillo underpriced? Yeah, I agree. Way too underpriced. The Moose is in the hoose. Locking. Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Braves hosting the Mets. Project starting pitcher for the Mets, Rick Porcello. He'll be up against Sean Newcomb. Porcello did not mince words about his Mets debut, calling it, quote, terrible. He'll need to correct things quickly as his next outing will come against the same team that tagged him for 7 runs, these Atlanta Braves. He had 1 strikeout in that appearance against Atlanta. Sean Newcomb needs to be more aggressive than he was on Sunday. when he needed 82 pitches to record 10 outs. He limited the Mets to just 1 run and issued 2 walks over 3 1/3 innings, but consistently encountering 3-ball counts is not a recipe for success, and the Braves will look to get right. Yesterday, Max Fried was a glimmer of hope in a pitching rotation that has recently featured a depressing performance by Mike Foltynewicz. So keep an eye on how Newcomb does today. He's pretty cheap on both sides. I probably don't get there. His xFIP and Sierra were way too high last year for me to be buyers. I do think after what the Braves did, it wasn't at the Sunday game against Porcello. After what the Braves did in that game, they should target a lot of interest. They have continued to be pretty high, pretty high priced. 5.5, 5.3, 5.6 for this top 3 in the Braves lineup, and now we're talking Coors Field pricing. But Porcello is not somebody I'm scared of. He had an over 5 xFIP last season, near 5 Sierra, and then you saw on Sunday night, he's got some work to do. And on top of that, backing him up has been a very lackluster Mets bullpen. Edwin Diaz cannot get right. Seth Lugo has had a shaky start. So definitely a spot for the Braves to continue some offensive prowess. The Braves have an implied run total of 5.6, just about a half a run less than the Yankees. So certainly makes sense to get them where you can. One thing I will note, that Braves lineup did come out, so we'll take a minute to adjust. But Dansby Swanson, former first overall pick, is batting second. He's had a huge start. So we got Acuna first, Dansby Swanson 2-hole, Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna, Matt Adams, Travis d'Arnaud batting 6th. In the 7th spot, we got Austin Riley. Then we got Adeiny Hechavarria, former Yankee great, and Ender Inciarte. So no Ozzy Albies today. But Dansby getting a lineup bump, and he's been really hot to start the season. I'm all about a Brave stack here. I'll definitely will have shares of that. On the Mets side, Sean Newcomb is a guy that limited hard contact to righties, below average versus the field, and ground balls higher than his fly ball rate. So a 1.1 home run per 9 against righties the last season, and a sub-1 the season prior. So he's not going to give up a lot of power. So normally I would be interested in looking at some of these, like Alonso, Rosario, maybe J.D. Davis. Even Cespedes has a couple bombs to his name this season. But it does look like we can kind of neutralize the power from the Mets with his metrics versus righty. So I'm not going to be too enthralled with the Mets here today on the road, coming from Citi Field last night, but certainly wouldn't talk you off some one-offs if Ahmed Rosario was leading off or Alonso was in a good spot. Wouldn't hate you for that. Anything on this game before we get out of here? Boom, boom, boom. Allen's off to a start. Oh, Jared Allen? Nice. Braves look appealing. Yeah, I'll definitely have some Braves. Again, pitching seems like it's going to be pretty affordable tonight. So I wouldn't overthink these 5.5 guys. A value in baseball is just so subjective. You're just trying to get raw points once it locks. And if you can get that from a 4.6 Dansby Swanson or 5.6 Freddie Freeman, if you could fit them, and have your lineup tell a story. It doesn't necessarily matter who does what. If you look at first place every night, it's really no rhyme or reason salary-wise, right? No value system. Let's move on to the next game. Baltimore Orioles hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. Blake Snell on the bump for the Rays. He'll be taking on Alex Cobb. Blake Snell is 10.8K on DraftKings, 9.5K on FanDuel. He tossed 2 scoreless innings and struck out 5 in his first outing of 2020 against the Blue Jays. As he continues to build up, the Rays are hoping that Snell's able to go 3 or 4 innings against the Orioles. I know it's the Orioles, but I can't pay $11K for 3 or 4 innings. It seems like no matter what, he will never go 5 here to be win eligible. Looks like there might be some slight rain concern anyway, so I can't touch him on DraftKings. I'll likely not consider him on FanDuel either. I would love guys that can sneak into a win and maybe even a quality start, and it just doesn't seem like that's going to be in the cards for Blake Snell today, so we're going to have to wait another day to play Blake Snell. Alex Cobb taking a bump for the Orioles. I think he used to play for Tampa. He is 1-0 with a 1.69 ERA. He fired 5 1/3 strong innings in his debut at Fenway to notch his first victory since late 2018. He's looking to rebound after missing most of 19 to right hip surgery. So let's take a minute and analyze how he did in that Fenway start, because a lot of us stacked the Red Sox that day, because a lot of underlying metrics the last couple of seasons from Alex Cobb suggested so. So let's see if xFlip and Sierra tells a story on that game, whether he was lucky or not. He had 207 xFlip, that's really, really good, and a 10.13 K per 9, 6 strikeouts in 5.1 innings, 50% home run to fly ball ratio. He must have only had 2 fly balls and gave up 1 bomb. Is that what I'm reading? Let's see. A 47% hard contact rate. All right, so that 1 game sample size is really good against the Red Sox, but I guess it remains to be seen, right? The Rays will project probably pretty well based on most optimizers and systems. The Orioles have been a lot scrappier than people give them credit for. The Yankees almost slipped up yesterday against them, and then of course their little series in Fenway, they were a headache for some people. Not that I'm going to go out of my way to stack them against Blake Snell and that bullpen. But if you ended up a lineup with a stab at a guy like Hans or Alberto or something like that, I don't think you're out of your mind. If I wanted to play somebody from the Rays, man, I don't know who it would be. I think if we're still going off of Cobb's like historical metrics, he does allow a lot of power to righties, or has allowed a lot of power to righties. Maybe Hunter Renfroe gets into one, or Jose Martinez gets into one, but it's hard to project somebody pre-flop. But this Orioles bullpen is definitely not something to be scared of, and I definitely don't want to over-respect Cobb after 1 game. I will say 4K on DraftKings after a shining good start, and the Rays did strike out quite a bit yesterday. If you need a salary to get chorus, man, could Cobb give you 10 to 15 on DraftKings? What was his swinging strike rate in that game? Will it give me that? Plate discipline. He had a 12.8% swing and strike rate against Boston in that first game. So that's good. Again, for short samples, only a 41% first pitch strike rate, though. We want that to be a little higher, 50-60. Man, Alex Cobb really had a good game. That's crazy. 4K, if I want a Castillo, Cobb, Coors, Yankee stack or something like that, I think that could glue it together. I don't think it's crazy, right? Crazy. All right, let's move on to the next game. Royals hosting the White Sox. Dallas Keuchel taking on Chris Bubich. Dallas Keuchel, his debut for the White Sox was a strong one. He allowed 2 runs over 5 1/3 inning, beating the Twins on Saturday. Keuchel's 2-1 with a 3.79 ERA lifetime at Kauffman Stadium. He'll be up against Chris Bubich. But I don't know if it's Bubik or Bubich, bear with me. The 22-year-old lefty has never pitched above Class A. Holy cow. Quote, "We'll let him have an opportunity," manager Mike Matheny said. He followed, "I'm excited to watch him. He's shown us he's ready. He was phenomenal last year. Everything we saw has shown us he's ready." That is scary, spooky to me. Never pitching above single A could be a problem. The adjustment from single A quality players to freaking major league players is nuts, right? Even single A to triple A would be a big jump. Let's go to MLB.com, check out his metrics from last year's single A. Jesus. 26 innings against lefties, 28 strikeouts, 82 strikeouts, and 75 against righties. And then if we pull up the other single A ball, strikeouts, 36 innings, 63 strikeouts. So clearly, like, he has potential. But we can never take single A stats and expect them, in all fairness, to translate to the major leagues just like that. So I guess tread with caution. It's hard to know what to expect here. But if they get to this kid early and often, we know the Royals bullpen can get got. So if you had some White Sox stacks, sure. Like this is one of those situations where we're stacking the White Sox based on their talent. We don't really have splits to go off of. We could maybe try and quantify maybe some problems. 1 homer, 11 innings, 2 homers, 36 innings. Like I don't know. I don't want to overrate or underrate Bubic, but it's not fair to even try and transfer his minor league performances to the majors. But we do know Dallas Keuchel, he's been a contact pitcher to righties. Guys like Jorge Soler, Whit Merrifield, Salvador Perez, Maikel Franco, they have been very popular and pretty successful as of late. Kudos to DraftKings for finally pricing them up to like a real team. Whit Merrifield, Franco, Salvi, and Jorge Soler all are all 4K and above, whereas last couple of days we've been able to get them for pennies on the dollar. So if you wanted to kind of stick with them as the hot hand against a contact lefty, I don't think you're out of line for that. What do we got for totals on this one? We've got a 5.3 implied run total for the White Sox, 4.3 for the Royals. White Sox a minus 151 favorite, so makes some sense, right? Let's see what you guys got in the chat before we move on. Mike Gray says, I highly doubt Grandal's in the lineup today. McCann will be facing a lefty. McCann's 3,700. Yeah, I like that. McCann, I think, has 2 homers on the season, right? And I know he has at least 1. But that's a good call if that is the case, right? Yeah, he does have 2 homers. Homered against Cleveland on the 28th and homered against Minnesota. Obviously, we're not expecting him for a home run floor every game, but we know historically he's had some nice numbers against left-handed pitching. So I don't mind that. Did the White Sox play? They must have played early yesterday because I don't remember breaking them down yesterday. Next game on the docket, Twins hosting the Indians. We got Mike Clevenger taking on Randy Dobnak, former Uber great. Mike Clevenger trying to curtain call that insane performance from Shane Bieber last night. Clevenger, after giving up back-to-back homers in his first inning of his last start versus the Royals, Clevenger settled in to toss 7 frames, allowing just the 2 solo homers on 4 hits with 6 strikeouts. He's got a 2.57 ERA on the season. Randy Dobnak, 0-1 with a 2.25 ERA. He's going to make another start in place of the injured Jake Odorizzi. He allowed 1 run over 4 innings versus the White Sox in his season debut last Saturday. So Clevenger, definitely a plus pitcher, right? Maybe not on the level of Shane Bieber, but a lot of people were hesitant to play Bieber last night because of how talented and how scary this Twins offense is on paper. So I can see that going 2 ways, right? I can see people chasing the Bieber performance with Clevenger, who's still a plus pitcher, or they can continue to be scared to play him because of the Twins offense, or maybe even be scared to play the Twins offense because of how plus Clevenger is. Clevenger has been pretty elite against both sides of the plate the last 2 seasons. High K rates to both sides, but particularly against righties, nearly a 41% K rate to righties. And some of the Twins' more powerful hitters, Josh Donaldson, Nelly Cruz, Mitch Garver, Miguel Sano, are all right-handed. Not that Kepler couldn't get them. I feel like Kepler has gotten them before, just out of curiosity. Let me go pull up that BVP. But it's one of those situations where if I'm multi-entering, I can play both sides of this. Max Kepler has 1 homer, batting 143. Well, historically, there's a bunch of homers here, but not a lot of high averages and decent strikeout rates. Nelly Cruz, how's he done? He's 1 for 10 with 5 Ks. So, at 10K on DraftKings, certainly you would play Clevenger over like Mike Snell if you were getting there. And then 9.8 on FanDuel, he's in a debate in terms of ownership leverage versus Luis Castillo, right? Castillo is almost 10K as well. He is 10K, 10.1. And I still think if you have 9,800, you have 10-1 for a pitcher. So yeah, in a 1v1, in short entry or cash games, you're going to go Luis Castillo 9 out of 10 times. But because of ownership and leverage and just how variable DFS can be, maybe it makes Mike Clevenger a little bit more of a tourney look on FanDuel. So if I was running 150 lineups, I might cap him at 10%, see what happens. Any homers to project here? Dobnak allowed a 321 average last year to righties. Not a lot of power on either side allowed, but both teams definitely have some inherent heavy hitters. And we did see some bullpen action last night get beat up. Lindor hit a bomb yesterday as well, and he started 300 on FanDuel. So it's a great spot where maybe this starting matchup doesn't project extremely well for him. But 3,300, that opportunity cost is pretty low for a talent as high as Lindor, especially if he's going to start streaking after yesterday, right? See what you guys got before we move on. White Sox brought up a big prospect for them, Madrigal. Yeah. Is McCann in the lineup? Oh, Grandal. Oh, Grandal must be DHing and James McCann, or vice versa. So they're both in there. Actually, let's update that lineup while over there. Tim Anderson, Moncada, Abreu, Grandal, Eloy Jimenez, Lewis Robert, James McCann, Adam Engel, Nick Madrigal. So you took out E5, and I'm assuming Grandal is. I'm assuming Grandal's going to be DHing here. One of the catchers are probably DHing. Not a whole lot. They did increase the strikeouts in this lineup, though. 32% on Moncada, 25, 30, 26, 24. So there's some strikeout potential in this White Sox lineup, but, man, we can't play Bubic with no big league sample size, right? I don't feel like I could get there. Anyway, back to this Twins game. I probably don't play Dobnak at 6K, but yeah, I probably don't play him at 6K. 15% K rate to lefties last year, so he's going to pitch way more to contact. So again, that's a plus in my opinion for like a Lindor at that price on FanDuel, 3,300, and Carlos Santana 3K. Those are great cheap bats to where the matchup doesn't project extremely well mathematically, but their talent supersedes the price point in my opinion. So I don't mind gambling on it. Is Dallas Keuchel playable? For me, I probably don't get the warm and fuzzies there. We'll see if we'll look at his game log from opening day or his opening day. .2 xFIP, plate discipline. Hit a 5.5% swinging strike rate. Like these numbers right here, like if I'm playing a pitcher, I like to know I have a ceiling on a pitcher. It's good to have a floor, but on a big slate like this where we have, 10 plus games, 10 games, would like a ceiling on a pitcher because when a pitcher starts going off, like you saw last night, Bieber dropping 70 on FanDuel, there's always pitchers that just snap more than likely. You just don't see that at a Keuchel. You don't really see a slate-breaking performance from a contact pitcher. Even though he did strike out lefties at a great tick, there's two lefties in the lineup. So I don't know if or in the projected lineup. So I probably couldn't get too stoked to play Keuchel. But if you're playing him for a shot at 14 to 20, I think it's possible, but it's probably not something that I'm running to. It's just an extreme contact pitcher right now, and this Royals team has been hitting. So I don't think I could co-sign that. Let's move on to the Coors game. So if you guys have just started playing baseball DFS because of how wonky this year has been, welcome to Coors Field. Coors Field is a different atmosphere, literally, than every other baseball park in the league. And because of its elevated altitude, has been a park that plays different for pitching because balls break differently with thinner air, and has typically resulted in much higher scoring games. And over the course of the last decade has been the top run producing park in baseball, and you have seen likely in the totals today. The Padres have a 5.8 implied run total, as do the Rockies, so almost a 12 over under. And if you've been following the Rockies, it's not like they've been putting up a lot of points to start the season, so you might have been like, what's happening? It's the park. And when Coors Field is on a slate, it just draws ownership just because the fact that it is a Coors Field game. And Coors Field has, it just has a mind of its own. So Welcome to MLB DFS. If you haven't experienced Coors Field yet, what it also does is it tends to inflate ownership every slate it's on, and there's obviously times where Coors Field doesn't go off, doesn't score 20 runs, 10 runs, 15 runs, and this is a weird situation because it has two pitchers that are above average in their metrics. John Gray has been just fine at home the last couple years. A 3.72 xFIP last year at home, a 3.16 xFIP the year prior. Garrett Richards looked okay in his first start, and we know historically when he's healthy, he's been good. So it's one of those spots where the pitchers are good. So it's hard to kind of project people to take advantage of either splits, but you're stacking it because of the ballpark, because of the total. San Diego's been perfectly fine to start the season offensively. They've been one of my favorite stacks, and even in this little series they've had with the Giants, they've kind of come through for me. Garrett Richards, in his 10-year career, mostly with the Angels, has never pitched at Coors Field. He was sharp in his first outing, using two dominant breaking pitches to hold the Diamondbacks scoreless over 5 innings. John Gray, 1.93 ERA, 3 strikeouts, the opening day starter in 2017 and 18. Gray gets the 20 home opener at Texas on Saturday. He grew fatigued, but still just yielded 1 run on 3 hits in 4 2/3 innings. 3 walks is high for a strike thrower like John Gray, so we'll see if he can right that ship. But like I said, at home, John Gray has been really, really, really good. When we talk about xFIP, there was a stretch where he was pretty unlucky, and they sent him to the minors to regroup, but none of the underlying advanced metrics suggested that it was problematic on his performance. It was just a matter of luck. Because of that, I can't get behind playing either pitcher. It's Coors Field. I just don't play Coors Field pitchers, even though they'll get cheap and they'll look better than what their stats are. We do like this Padres offense. Fernando Tatis, Trent Grisham, Manny Machado, Tommy Pham, even Jurickson Profar homered last night in AT&T. Will Myers has had a really, really good track history in Coors Field. And then the Rockies, as dull as they've looked to start the season, at home they can get it done. David Dahl, he's in that leadoff spot. Trevor Story hit for a lot of power. I don't mind, a Rocky stack, but this is just one of those where I don't want to spend too much time telling you guys that Coors Field can be good, right? But yeah, Tatis is 6K. 6K is not going to be the easiest to fit in, particularly on DraftKings, but 8K Louis Castillo kind of offsets, right? Would you pay 10K for Castillo today and 4K for Tatis? Yeah, so you can kind of bend it like that, right? Madrigal is more of a steals player, no power, but good prospect. Yeah, the White Sox do have a lot of upcoming names. Michael Kopech is still a name that we haven't really seen yet, but he has the propensity to be a top pitcher in that division whenever he gets healthy. Stat cores, it's a thing. Let's move on. Cubs hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates. Trevor Williams on the bump up against Yu Darvish. Trevor Williams 0-1 with a 7.36 ERA. He didn't get hit very hard, but he gave up 3 runs on 5 hits while recording only 11 outs against the Cardinals in his season debut. He has a 7.62 ERA in 7 career outings at Wrigley Field, so doesn't have a great history in here in Chicago. Yu Darvish 0-1 on the season with a 6.75 ERA. He was winless in 3 starts against Pittsburgh in 2019, despite recording a 0.833 WHIP. In one of those starts, he threw 6 shutout innings at Wrigley on July 12th. So Darvish's first game this season was a little surprising if you were a fan of his second half last season. Maybe he bounces back here on DraftKings at 10.5K. If you're trying to pair him with a Castillo, I think you're going to be really different in terms of lineup construction because you're not going to have money for some of those Yankees, for some of those Coors Field bats. But I do think the thought of maybe trying to take a chance on him getting right before the rest of the field tries him, like the game theory is there for that. On the surface, though, I think I'm staying away until, or at least on this slate, I don't see a path to him to make me satisfied with my lineups at 10-5 on DK. 9-1, the argument's a little bit stronger, a little bit more of a discount, and FanDuel does offer a lot more cheapies that are in great spots. But against lefties, he had a 1.92 home run per 9 last season. He's going to see a whole lot of lefties. Josh Bell, Colin Moran, Gregory Polanco, all guys with a little bit of a pop that could surprise them. So I'm not excited to play Darvish here until further notice. And Trevor Williams, 6'3". I don't think I'm there on that, even though the Cubs haven't looked too great to start the season. Trevor Williams, if we pull up that pitch report, is he the guy that throws a lot of fastballs, like average fastballs? Let's see, Trevor Williams, yeah, 67% fastball, 91 mile an hour average velocity, slightly below average fastball, below average slider. Anthony Rizzo profiles extremely well here, 1.21 grade against that fastball, over 1 against that slider. So he's popping in the chart there. Does he have a history here? It's a division rival. Let's see. Trevor. Rizzo has 1 homer, batting .333. Kyle Schwarber also has a good history against Trevor Williams. And that's encouraging because Schwarber's a guy that I usually hate to play against guys that get strikeouts. But he has just a 10.4% swing and strike rate last season, better than his 8% the season prior, striking out lefties at a 12.5% clip. So Kyle Schwarber, his bugaboo is the strikeout. So if you're going to dare him to make contact, if he's around that cleanup spot, Schwarber's really, really affordable on FanDuel 31. So I do like Schwarber to maybe continue his historical numbers against Trevor Williams because metrically it makes sense. Average fastball, no, he's not going to miss bats. Yeah, I'll take a shot on Schwarber to generate some power here. I don't mind handcuffing him to like an Anthony Rizzo here. And then while you're at it, why not take a shot on Javi Baez, slate breaking performance over the weekend. So maybe even a little Cubs stack. What's the Cubs implied run total here? 5.1. Yeah, we'll take a shot on that. Cubs are a minus 201 favorite so far. I believe that's the highest that I've seen on the day. So give me some of the top Cubs bats, right? Wind's blowing in. Yeah, I'm not too worried about wind just yet. All right, let's move on to the next game. Rangers at the Giants. We've got Mike Minor taking on Logan Webb. Logan Webb's going to be the opener, at least. Mike Minor's 0-1 with a 1.8 ERA. He's making his first appearance against the Giants since 2017, and his first start against them since 2014. He's 3-1 with a 2.35 ERA and a 0.91 WHIP in 7 career games, 6 starts versus San Francisco. Logan Webb held the Dodgers to 1 run over 4 innings in his season debut at Dodger Stadium last week. The 23-year-old rookie will be making his first career appearance against Texas. He's got a 2.25 ERA with 2 strikeouts on the season. I don't see myself playing Logan Webb here. Implied total for the Rangers is 4.2, the Giants 3.9. So this looks like your projected lowest scoring game of the slate. Makes sense. Oracle Park game, temps in the mid-60s. I do think Mike Minor's way more intriguing to me than Logan Webb. That's maybe not saying a lot, but at 9.2K, could I get a path to 20 plus DKP? I think it's a strong maybe. 11.5% swing and strike rate last season. XFIP and Sierra were up there, and he did have a start this season against the Rockies, right? That XFIP and Sierra scare me, but man, AT&T and the fact that it's the Giants could offset some of my concerns. Let me go check out his game log from this year and see how he did. 3.45 xFIP. How was the swing and strike rate? 7.1%. That's not what you want. 47% first strike. All right, so he didn't have a great metrical game against the Rockies. A lot of righties here. 1.29 homer per 9 last year to righties overall. I am curious to see how much of that was at home in Globe Life. Home versus righties in 2019. He had 9 bombs, 67 innings, while having 14 on the road in 93. So he did have a little bit of a power issue. But there's not a whole lot of power on the Giants. Maybe Wilmer Flores. I know Longo's back in the mix, but I'm not gonna overreact to that. I don't know. That's probably a pitcher that's gonna generate decent ownership just because of the fact that he's in the top pitchers park. There's not a whole lot of options on the slate, and it is the Giants. I'd probably have him in the pool. He's curious, though. I'm curious with that. We're going to talk about Lance McCullers in a minute, but I'm curious with him, too, at 9K. Offensively, it's hard to justify a lot of interest in either offense. I'll say Logan Webb is coming into this season with a little bit of a problem against righties, high hard contact allowed to both sides of the plate, and a high line drive rate. So if you wanted to take some one-off shots here, I don't mind seeking some of these batters on FanDuel at least. Joey Gallo is, wow, he is kind of expensive, 38, 43, so you're not really getting a bargain there. It's all one-offs. I couldn't see myself stacking either team. Don't think it's going to happen. Let's move on to the next game. Astros hosting the Angels. Wait, what? No, the Angels hosting the Astros. I typed the Astros twice for some reason. We've got Matt Andriese against Lance McCullers. And we learned yesterday that Mike Trout is on paternity leave. So when the Angels every year are without Mike Trout, they become an exponentially worse team. And their 2-5 start to the season could get worse before it gets better. Lance McCullers 1-0 in the season with a 3.0 ERA. Matt Andriese has got a 0.0 ERA on the season with 5 strikeouts. He's set to make his first start of the season for the Halos after pitching 5 2/3 innings of scoreless relief versus the Athletics on Sunday. It's going to be his first start since September 18, 2018, which came for Arizona. We also saw him floating around with the Tampa Bay Rays. McCullers is 9K on both FanDuel and DraftKings. And when the Angels don't have Mike Trout, I have to at least consider a pitcher to take advantage of the pitcher-friendly park. We did talk about McCullers maybe getting into some issues because of how much he uses the curveball, could generate some walks, and he kind of got into a couple jams against the Seattle Mariners. So maybe keep an eye on that going forward. But we know McCullers is going to throw a whole lot of curveballs a lot. Why is he not generating in the pitch report? Maybe it's under just Lance McCullers and not Junior. Give me a second to see if that pops back up. It does not. Oh, I know why. Because he didn't have sample size the last 2 years. That's fine. We'll go to Fangraphs and pull up his card. So we're gonna pull up his card. We'll pull up pitch value or pitch type. So in 2020, so far this season, he's thrown 39% curveball in that first game with 28% changeup. Keep an eye on that because that's the most he's ever used a changeup. But it's only a 1 game sample size. But he's usually been a heavy curveball thrower. So let's go look at the Angels pitch report and see how they've done against the curveball. We got Rendon, Ohtani, Upton, LaStella, all with massive positive grades against the curveball. So it might be something to watch, but I am curious with some stabs at him because he does have strikeout potential. But at 9K, I wouldn't go too crazy with it because it could blow out because he does tend to have messy innings with some walk problems. And then Matt Andriese in 2018 had a lot of power issues against righties. Last year, his hard contact dropped 13% to righties. Can we expect some negative regression for that? Coming out of the bullpen a little bit more last season, he's putting in more favorable matchups. So I do think there's some potential regression to be had there and projecting some offensive righty power against them. George Springer, Altuve, Bregman, all guys that could take advantage of that. Carlos Correa, go check out the pitch report on that. For Andriese, fastball, changeup. Bregman, Brantley, Gurriel, Correa, they project pretty well against that. So the Astros have an implied run total of 5.5. That's one of the highest on the slates, and they're a minus 172 favorite. So maybe that minus 172 gets us through a quality start and win for McCullers and a couple of strikeouts. If you're not scared of McCullers, Shohei Ohtani has been really, really good to start the season. But let me throw this at you. They want Ohtani to pitch every Sunday, and I thought I read that they wanted him to hit 4 times a week. So I know Ohtani's homered in like the last 2 games and whatever, but is there a chance he doesn't play tonight in the field or in the lineup because of them prepping him for his start on Sunday, 2 days off before he pitches? And if this Angels lineup had no Ohtani and no Mike Trout, I mean, you'd probably take a shot, right? Rendon can only do so much, so maybe keep that in the back of your head to consider Lance McCullers a little bit more, because I do think it's a possibility that Ohtani is going to be out the lineup, just because it sounded like their plan. Now, unless they just say Ohtani's done pitching, which is probably what they should do, the plan was for Ohtani to pitch every Sunday and to hit at least 4 times a week. So we'll see what they come up with. But if there's no Ohtani in this lineup, and this spread's already pretty big, I could see myself getting on some McCullers, even though 9K feels a little bit up there, right? The Yankees lineup just came out, so let me analyze that while it's fresh out the oven. Gleyber Torres is in the lineup today, so we got LeMahieu, Judge, Torres, Stanton, Hicksey, Luke Voit. Gary Sanchez got the day off. I kind of called that one, huh? Giovanni Urshela in the 7th spot. 8th spot's going to be Brett the Hitman Gardner and Kyle Higashioka batting in 9th. So, kind of figured that would happen. I think Higashioka is a little bit more susceptible to base runners and base stealing than Gary was, even though it's a lefty on the mound. So that might be a plus for like Jose Peraza if he leads off and has an opportunity to cause some action on the bases, Playing Kyle Lewis, J.P. Crawford until they drop a 0. I respect that. Kyle Lewis has been so good. Cray's been batting well against righties. Yep, I can get down with that. They just refuse to fix Brantley. Yeah, Brantley's price has been low and he's pretty consistent. Dodgers at the Diamondbacks. Tony Gonsolin taking on Zach Gallen. Gonsolin, that has to be a bullpen game, right? Gonsolin was late to summer camp and he was the first arrival to be optioned. But after a stint at the alternate training site, Gonsolin will be at least an opener for what, in other words, is a bullpen game for the Dodgers here. Zach Gallen 0-0 with a 2.25 ERA. He struggled with his command in his first start of the year against the Padres. He walked 5 and lasted just 4 innings due to a high pitch count. When he was in the zone, he was tough to hit, allowing 2 hits and 1 run. So Gallen's one of those guys I think is going to be a great prospect, great pitcher one day. But Dodgers one of those teams where I'm not going to pitch against them, and I likely just have Dodger stacks to have Dodger stacks. Gonsolin 8,300 on DraftKings. Likely an opener for a bullpen game. You can't. You absolutely cannot. Especially when freaking Castillo. Like, how does that even happen? How does Luis Castillo be less than Gonsolin? I don't get it. So I'm not playing any Zach Gallen. Can certainly put Dodgers in the optimizer, spit them out in some stacks. Muncy, Betts, Bellinger, Turner, Seager. I mean, you guys don't need me to tell you Dodgers are good. Definitely worth having some exposure to. And the D-backs are going to be hard to roster, but it is a bullpen game for the Dodgers, so anything could happen. I mean, that's a lazy analysis, but it's hard to like them pre-flop. Gotta like the offense for the Dodgers way more. What's the implied total for the D-backs? I'm getting so many notifications right now. D-backs implied run total is 4.5. So the Dodgers are only a slight favorite at 127. So there is some room for the D-backs to at least be scrappy. I feel like we haven't heard a lot of power coming from the D-backs yet. While I was talking, we got an Orioles lineup. Again, the Orioles up against Blake Snell, who should be considered more so an opener than anything else. Probably 4 innings for him. Orioles are going to throw out Austin Hayes, Hanser Alberto, Renato Nunez is batting third. Anthony Santander, Pedro Severino. He homered yesterday off of, I think, Loaisiga in the 8th inning. Bottom of the 8th, I think. Rio Ruiz batting 6th. Pat Valaika batting 7th. DJ Stewart batting 8th. And then Andrew Velasquez, switch hitter, batting 9th. And then we also have a lineup coming out for the Pirates. That's actually interesting to me because I do have... Right, I was at least curious with thinking about you, Darvish. So let's see what their lineup looks like. Cubbies, we've got Frazier, Kevin Newman, Josh Bell, Colin Moran, Brian Reynolds, Gregory Polanco's batting 6th. So a little bit of a power boost and a better spot. Cole Tucker batting 7th, Jacob Stallings, and Gerard Dyson. So that's your Pirates lineup. All right, we got one game left on the docket to break down the main event tonight. Before we do that, take a pause for the cause. Let you guys know that I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord 2 hours before baseball lock today. So about 5 p.m. Eastern, we'll be grinding up until first pitch of the Yankee game. If you guys want to be part of that, listen in, grab a mic, join the conversation. Go to RunDFS.com, get yourself a VIP pass. We have week passes, 2-week passes, month pass, and then you can lock in for the rest of the year for $300. That saves you over $100 as a bulk discount. And that'll include all the coverage for NBA, for baseball, for NFL in a month, knock on wood. We also have Smeezy, our crew chief for NASCAR coverage. And those cats are grinding everything. So I don't officially support golf or MMA or anything like that, but there's some very knowledgeable dudes in there that will gladly talk some game theory, pick some plays for everything. And of course, like I said, for a news-intensive sport like NBA, it's just great to have a community of like-minded guys that will kind of look out, have your back when it comes to news and stuff if you've got a busy day. Main event tonight, Athletics at the Mariners. We got Sean Manaea taking on Taijuan Walker. The lefty Manaea, 0-1 with a 7.71 ERA, became fatigued in the final inning of his first start of the year, a loss to the Angels. Still, the lefty had no issues with command, throwing 40 of his 55 pitches for strikes. The fact that he only threw 55 pitches scares me, makes me think 70 is a dream here. And he's 9,600 on DraftKings. I just can't see myself justifying that, even if it is the Mariners. Taijuan Walker, 0-1 with a 13.5 ERA. He gave up 5 runs in 3 1/3 innings in his season debut against Houston. But it was a big step back from Tommy John in 2018. He was drafted and developed by Seattle, but traded to Arizona before the 17 season and now returns on a 1-year deal. So both pitchers probably not going to be in my pool tonight. The Mariners have just been kind of scrappy with certain guys. Kyle Lewis has been surprising, I guess, to start the season. If you look at his game log, he's 3,800, but man, 10, 13, 10, 14. I mean, this is double-digit floor in all but one game. You love to see that. You like his potential, and 3,800 does leave a little bit of room on the table, especially a guy that would have maybe a platoon advantage here. And I don't think it looks like Manaea is going to be in the game for more than 4 to 5 innings if his pitch count's only like 60 to 70, right? Taijuan Walker, yeah, no for me. Athletics here, who would we like from the Athletics? Probably just the basics, right? Power out of Matt Olson. Implied run total for this team is sitting at 5.3, so they do have some runs to be had, especially off of that Mariners bullpen. They're a minus 188 favorite, so big-time favorite, so I could see them being like a complete sleeper stack here. It is a little bit of a park boost in Safeco versus the Oakland Coliseum. But I mean, there's nothing inherent, like no particular reason why I would go after them over some other teams, but I do think just from a ownership standpoint, they could be a fun stack. Semien, Chapman, Olsen, but that's completely like long shot tournament talk. On the Mariners side, you guys talked about Kyle Lewis. Kyle Seager's had a couple of a bombs so far, and I think somebody mentioned J.B. Crawford. I know Shed Long homered last night, so that could be scrappy still. Some surprising names. It's hard to pay $4K for Shed Long on DraftKings and have a straight face. But the ownership should be there if you are looking for some low owned guys to maybe get it done for you. Muncie's been on tear, absolutely. Corey Seager seems to be back. Yep, Corey Seager has one of the highest average exit velocities going. One of the league leaders in hard contact. But yeah, that's today's slate. So kind of to recap, I think on pitching, I think you're free squaring Louis Castillo, AK. Right? It seems like a bad game here is like 16. So I'd probably start every lineup on DraftKings with Castillo. Who would we pair him with? I think that's a way, way tougher question. If Ohtani's out, and so is Mike Trout, and Mike Trout's definitely out, but if Ohtani's out, I kind of have a hunch he might be. I might take the plunge on some McCullers exposure. If I scroll down a little bit more, no one here is like I really want to get crazy with. So even if I'm overpaying for like a 20 out of McCullers, I'll probably do it. And I don't hate Mike Minor either. Bomb detector, what we liking? So bomb detector is saying to keep an eye on JD Martinez against the lefty, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Matt Adams, Hunter Renfroe. Kind of talked about Hunter Renfroe taking advantage of those righty splits from his matchup. JP 2 steals last night. I think 3 RBIs and 2 hits. Steals are underrated when it comes to those scrappy teams with nothing to lose. Definitely could keep JP in my back pocket. I like that call. I could certainly 3,300 really cheap. 24.18. I mean, look at him. He's giving you a solid floor for what you need. I like that call. I do. Kevin Pillar leading off against a lefty. Interesting. Let's update those lineups, and then I'll escape for an hour or so before we have to get into that voice chat. Pillar, that's a huge bump for Kevin Pillar. So Kevin Pillar against a lefty. JD Martinez second. Devers, Sander Bogarts. Christian Vasquez up to the 5 spot. The way he's been hitting, that's encouraging. Alex Verdugo's batting 6th. Michael Chavis batting 7th. 8th spot, Jackie Bradley Jr. And then no Benintendi today. It's going to be Jose Peraza. So Peraza could turn that lineup around and be an interesting play. Any other lineups came out while I was grinding? No, it doesn't look like it. Anyway, guys, I'm hoping we have a little bit better schedule. I mentioned it on the NBA stream, but we had some storms in Texas that apparently impacted Spectrum's ability to give me internet. I didn't have internet from midnight last night to about 9:30 this morning, so I got an extremely late start. So on a normal day, I don't anticipate being on the air at 2 p.m. for baseball. I'm hoping that I can get a more consistent night NBA stream and then maybe a morning baseball stream, or at least both streams being in the morning for the sports. But I appreciate you guys spending some time with me this afternoon working on some baseball stuff. Hopefully, if you guys are playing basketball, you're off to a good start and you finish strong. If you guys would do me a favor, hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. Join the VIP, support the stream, support me a little bit more, and get something in return. And if you guys got any other questions, comments, concerns, twitter.com/GundackerSports. That's the way to reach out to me. DMs are open, man. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me as always. ACP, Creasy, X Connor, seeing some newer names in the chat, man. Hope you guys have a great day. Love each and every one of you. I will maybe see some of you tonight, maybe for an NBA stream, maybe. Otherwise, good luck. God